Welcome back, Nerd Squad. My name is Roya Destroya, and this is Top 10 Nerd. The supervillain and sometimes anti-hero Venom was created by a Marvel fan named Randy Schuler, who sold the rights to Marvel for $220. He was originally going to be the new symbiote costume for Spider-Man, and it later went on to become its very own entity, and as a parasitic being, has had the opportunity to have many different versions of itself. So let's take a look at the top 10 alternate versions of Venom. In the number 10 spot, we have Zombie Venom. In the Marvel Zombie miniseries, Venom got himself a brief stint as a zombified villain facing off against, who else? Spider-Man. The Zombie series was characterized by vivid and often pretty gruesome artwork. In a fight over who would get to eat the dead flesh of Galactus, Venom faced off against Spider-Man, albeit in zombified form, and ended up getting himself killed. The symbiote was unable to sap adrenaline from Eddie Brock's zombified body, and therefore this Venom just wasn't feeling himself. Even Spidey himself was like, dude, are you good? Like, why are you so pathetic today? Coming in at number 9 is Ultimate Venom. Usually Venom is depicted as an alien being. However, in the pages of Ultimate Spider-Man, Venom wasn't an alien at all, but rather a suit created to cure cancer. Peter Parker and Eddie Jr. are friends in this arc and come together to pick up the project that was originally their father's, with disastrous consequences in the form of a rift in their friendship when Peter wanted to destroy the suit and Eddie wanted to keep it. So Eddie did the only thing he could think of and lets himself become engulfed. So much for that friendship. Next up at number 8 is Mangaverse Venom. In the Marvel Mangaverse, this version of Venom was a man born into the Spider Clan by Shinji and May Parker, so it was actually Peter Parker's cousin, whose skin was discolored when he was struck by spider venom laced arrows from the Shadow Clan. He was trained as a ninja by May's second husband, Ben Parker. Some fun family ties going on here, but as comic books would have it, he was tempted to the dark side and strayed from Spider Clan to join the Shadow Clan, even though they had previously murdered his sister and dad. Does loyalty mean nothing to you? In the number 7 spot, we've got Axe Venom. Different May Parker this time. Feeling a little salty at the way Peter Parker rejected it, the alien symbiote decided to try and turn Spidey's daughter May Parker against him. I always love a good family drama in my comics, makes me feel so much better about my own. However, the plan backfired because May was able to control the symbiote and use it to her advantage, so she decided to follow in Daddy's footsteps and go on to save the world. Coming in at number 6 is Agent Venom. Flash Thompson is Peter Parker's high school bully. He was introduced in 1962 and then much later in 2011 made a reappearance, this time as the latest host of the Venom Symbiote. After high school, he got his legs blown off in a military-related accident, but was bonded with Venom to partake in a special mission, and doing so created new legs out of biomass. He can only bond with Venom for 48 hours at a time to keep his mind intact, however, but we can imagine the allure of walking again would create quite the emotional turmoil every time he had to unbind himself. Next up at number 5, we have Mini Marvel's Venom. Only because he is so cute, I mean, look at that tooth. Perhaps the most family-friendly of the Venoms, Mini Venom is Eddie Brock, a reporter at the Daily Bugle. Eddie wants to be the very best reporter that no one ever was, but his attempts are constantly foiled by the symbiote he befriends, which is actually composed of living ink this time around. Up next at number 4 is Symbiote Punisher. The What If series of 1977 and onward took a look at what would happen if Venom bonded with Punisher. Long story short, it doesn't look too good for the criminals. The symbiote's shape-shifting abilities gave the Punisher access to glider wings, and it also causes Frank Castle to be even more violent and unrestrained in his ventures. It took a pretty hefty blast from Spider-Man to get the Punisher back in control. So if you are already a brutal and violent person, please stay away from the gooey stuff. In the number 3 spot, we've got Pork Grind. Yes, we're still talking about Venom here, we didn't go off into Foodland, not yet. Sadly. If you all remember our bacony little friend Spider-Ham, then you know that no superhero is complete without an equally fattening sounding villain. Hence, Pork Grind was introduced. A version of Venom that was basically a hammy Arnold Schwarzenegger from the Aniverse. One who was brave enough to say what we were all thinking as kids: spinach is yucky. Coming in at number 2, we have T-Rex Venom. Because who doesn't love a dinosaur thrown in for good measure every now and again? In Old Man Logan, the symbiote has picked a rather interesting host this time. No more measly men, time to bond with a giant T-Rex. This particular T-Rex was imported from the Savage Land to the US, and gave Wolverine a pretty big run, or I guess drive, for his money. So when shopping for dinos, please buy local, kids, save the Wolverines. And finally, in the number 1 spot is the original Venom. This isn't exactly an alternate version, but rather the true true and dark version that never was. Originally, Venom was going to be a pregnant woman whose husband is struck and killed before her eyes by a taxi driver, who is distracted by seeing Spider-Man. The shock induces her labor and she also loses her baby in the process. So when the symbiote finds her and bonds with her, she decides to seek out revenge against Spider-Man. The story was culled because the editor Jim Salicrup didn't believe a woman seemed to pose enough threat to be a major villain. I guess the guy's never been married. So those were the top 10 alternate versions of Venom. Let me know in the comment section down below which version is the coolest. My name is Roya Destroya, thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe so you never miss another nerdy list.